Snowfall across the mid-Atlantic, ice accumulation in the deep south, temperatures plunging to levels we haven't seen in years. That's what we are facing this weekend. I've examined the latest model runs, data from the National Weather Service, and historical comparisons. What is developing is significant, not sensational, not apocalyptic, significant. This system begins Friday and extends through Monday. Multiple regions will see winter weather impacts. The question isn't whether this happens. The question is exactly where the worst impacts occur. Let me walk you through what we know. Starting Friday, precipitation lights up from the Rockies to the Appalachians. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kentucky begin seeing snow. This is the leading edge. But here's where it gets complicated. A transition zone sets up. Above this line, mostly snow. Below this line, freezing rain and sleet. That transition zone is where problems multiply. Dallas sits near this line, Memphis as well, potentially Little Rock. These cities could see significant ice accumulation. I am not comfortable drawing that exact line until we see tomorrow's data. The models are still working through the details. If you are in the southern plains or northern deep south, you need to prepare for both possibilities. Snow you can handle. Ice is different. By Saturday into Sunday, the system intensifies. The Weather Prediction Center shows a rare, widespread 15 to 30% probability of winter storm impacts. That's their highest category. If a stronger category existed, parts of this area would qualify. The heaviest impacts track from Arkansas through Tennessee into Virginia and the Carolinas. This purple zone on the forecast maps represents where conditions will be most severe. Generally speaking, farther north means more snow. Farther south means more freezing rain and sleet, but that dividing line remains uncertain. I've listed several cities that could see ice storms. Little Rock, Memphis, Huntsville, parts of the Appalachian Mountains near Asheville. But here's what you need to understand. Any of these locations could end up with a foot of snow instead, or the ice could track farther south than current projections. This uncertainty isn't incompetence, it's meteorology. We re-72 hours out from the main event. The atmosphere hasn't decided yet. What I can tell you with confidence is this. Somebody gets a major ice storm from this system. The farther south you are, the higher that probability becomes. Sunday into Monday, impacts continue. The Carolinas could still see icing problems. But as you move north and east into the mid-Atlantic, snow becomes the main story. The models diverge here. Some solutions show the system moving offshore quickly, less snow for the northeast. Other models strengthen a coastal low-pressure system. That scenario buries the I-95 corridor. We've seen this movie before. A strong coastal storm means significant snow from Richmond through Philadelphia to New York. We'll know more in 48 hours. Now let me explain what makes this system unusual. Most winter storms involve a low-pressure system. Cold air wraps around the low, precipitation develops. Standard meteorology, this isn't to that. What is driving this event is a massive high-pressure system over Canada. Unprecedented strength for late January. This high is forcing Arctic air much farther south than typical. That cold air is overrunning natural moisture and warmth from the Gulf of Mexico. The collision between these air masses creates the precipitation. But there is no traditional storm center driving this. It is almost the opposite of a storm. This matters for forecasting. Usually, as we get closer to an event, storm tracks shift slightly northward. That's the typical bias. But since we don't have a low-pressure system here, that bias might not apply. We in uncharted territory to some degree. The snow will make headlines. 12 inches here, 18 inches there. Those are impressive numbers. But the ice threat concerns me more. Between Houston and Dallas, current models show persistent freezing rain. Same story from Jackson, Mississippi toward Birmingham, Alabama. Potentially Atlanta, that line could shift north, could shift south, we don't know yet. The latest GFS model run shows ice from Dallas to Atlanta to Columbia, South Carolina, but it keeps Oklahoma City mostly snow, Little Rock mostly snow, Memphis and Nashville mostly snow, most of North Carolina north of Charlotte gets snow, Richmond, Virginia will definitely stay all snow. I am confident about that. Same for Lexington, Kentucky. The ice question applies south of those cities. Looking at the overall pattern, this is a remarkable setup. As the system moves east, the GFS keeps it offshore rather than curling up the coast. Less snow for the northeast in that scenario, but the mid-Atlantic still gets buried. Too early for specifics there. Let's focus on the initial impacts. Snow accumulation forecasts are starting to converge. Widespread 6 to 8 inches looks likely across a broad area. Some locations will see 14 inches or more. The national blend of models, which averages all the major forecast systems, paints an interesting picture. A bullseye appears around Richmond, Virginia, 17 inches of snow. That's an average across multiple models, not an outlier. Richmond shows up consistently because all the models agree on significant snow there. It's less consistent for the Northeast, less consistent for areas farther south where ice becomes a factor. Some models develop a dry slot, others push the ice and rain farther north, but Richmond sits in a zone of high agreement. By the time this is over, I expect a band of 1 foot or more snow stretching several hundred miles. Where exactly that band sets up is the question. Is it along the current forecast track, 100 miles north, 100 miles south? That's what the next 2 days of data will tell us. Current projections show 7 inches in New York City, 7 inches in Nashville, 10 inches in Knoxville, 5.6 inches in Clarksville, Tennessee, 5.3 in Memphis, 5 in Little Rock. These are conservative numbers because they are averages. Some places in Tennessee and Arkansas will exceed a foot. We just don't know which communities yet. Another bullseye appears in the panhandles of Oklahoma and Texas, extending into Kansas. This isn't T because snow will fall harder there. It's S because we have better confidence in the near-term forecast. This hits Friday into Saturday, sooner than the eastern impacts. The models handle near-term forecasts better. Woodward, Oklahoma looks at 8 to 9 inches of snow. That forecast has decent confidence behind it. Tomorrow and Thursday, we'll have enough data to provide ranges. 12 to 24 inches possible in Richmond. 4 to 8 in Memphis. That level of detail requires better model agreement. Right now, we are still 72 hours out. Numbers will change. I don't want to lock anything in prematurely. I am also not showing ice accumulation maps yet. But understand this. Where the snow totals taper off on the southern edge, that S where ice becomes most likely, some models show over 1 inch of ice in Atlanta. Over 2 inches in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Significant accumulation in Dallas. It's possible all 3 cities see crippling ice storms with 3/4 of an inch or more. If that happens, we were looking at a catastrophe. I am not advertising that scenario heavily because of how quickly forecasts change. If I emphasize worst-case ice accumulations now, then the track shifts and the ice doesn't dematerialize, people lose trust. Then when the next ice storm actually threatens, they don't prepare. So I am waiting. No ice accumulation graphics until tomorrow or Thursday when the data solidifies. But if current trends continue, we have a serious problem developing. Here's why the ice matters beyond the obvious. Ice accumulations mean power outages. Trees and power lines fail under ice weight. Standard winter storm impacts, but this system is unusual because of that massive high-pressure system I mentioned earlier. It's driving Arctic air deep into the United States, and it's going to settle over the southeast. If an ice storm knocks out power for millions across the deep south, what happens Tuesday morning when temperatures bottom out? Huntsville, Alabama could see minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, not wind chill, actual temperature, colder than Canada, colder than Minnesota. In Alabama, Memphis drops to minus 6. Clarksville, Tennessee hits minus 9. If those temperatures verify and we have widespread power outages from ice, this becomes a public safety crisis. The snowpack that develops from this system will suppress temperatures further. Fresh snow reflects solar radiation. Temperatures stay colder longer. We re-looking at a bowl of Arctic air settling across the southeast for an extended period. This is absolutely unprecedented for late January in these locations. Weather models are wrong regularly. Meteorologists miss forecasts. Let's hope this is one of those times. Because if these numbers verify, we have serious preparation work to do in the next 48 hours. The cold doesn't end quickly either. The 6 to 10-day outlook locks in a brutally cold pattern through the end of the month. Anywhere east of the Rockies stays well below average. There are even signals for another system to impact the East Coast after this one moves through. Winter has arrived with force. Now let me provide some practical guidance based on current forecasts. If you are in the snow zone, this is straightforward preparation. You've done this before if you live in these areas. Stock up on essentials. Ensure you have backup heat sources. Check on elderly neighbors. Standard winter storm protocol. But if you are in the potential ice zone, this requires different preparation. Ice storms are fundamentally different from snowstorms. Ice doesn't pile up like snow. It encases everything. Power lines sag and snap. Tree branches accumulate weight until they fail. Roads become skating rinks. You can to shovel ice. You wait for it to melt or you chip at it slowly. Priority 1 is power backup. If you have a generator, service it now. Fill fuel cans, test the startup. Know how to safely operate it with proper ventilation. If you don't have a generator, identify warming centers in your community. Know where they are before you need them. Have a plan for how to reach them safely if roads deteriorate. Stock up on non-perishable food that doesn't require cooking. If power fails, your electric stove doesn't work. Have options. Fill bathtubs with water before the ice arrives. Not for drinking. For flushing toilets and basic sanitation if water systems fail. Charge all electronic devices fully. Have battery banks ready. Bring pets indoors. If you have livestock, ensure they have shelter and access to unfrozen water. Protect exposed pipes. Let faucets drip if temperatures drop below freezing. Moving water is harder to freeze. A small water bill is manageable. Burst pipes are not. If you re-in an area that could see either heavy snow or ice, prepare for both scenarios. Many of you remember past winter storms. The blizzard of '93, the ice storms of 2000. UV lived through significant winter weather. This system has potential to join those conversations, not through hype or exaggeration, through actual meteorological setup. The blocking high pressure is extremely strong. The temperature gradient is sharp. The moisture is abundant. All the ingredients are present. What we don't know yet is precisely where those ingredients combine most intensely. Over the next 48 hours, model runs will converge. We'll see better agreement on the snow-ice line. We'll have more confidence in accumulation amounts. We'll understand the timing better. Check back tomorrow. I'll have updated forecasts with more specific ranges for different regions. For now, begin your preparation. Wait until Friday morning when forecasts are certain but stores are cleaned out. This is a prepare situation, not a panic situation. There's a difference. Preparing means having supplies ready and plans in place. It means checking on family members who might need assistance. It means clearing your schedule for the weekend if you are in the impact zone. Panicking means none of that. Panicking means last-minute grocery store rushes and poor decisions. You are experienced enough to know the difference. A few additional technical notes for those interested in the meteorology. The high-pressure system driving this is forecast to peak around 1045 millibars. That's exceptionally strong for a continental high in January. For comparison, typical strong winter highs run 1030 to 1035 millibars. This additional strength is what's allowing the Arctic air to penetrate so far south. The jet stream configuration supports this as well. We have a deep trough over the eastern United States. That trough is funneling cold air southward while simultaneously providing lift for precipitation as Gulf moisture moves north. Where those two air masses meet, that's where precipitation develops. The question is the exact temperature profile at different altitudes. If the warm air aloft is too strong, we get freezing rain. If the cold air is deep enough, we get snow. If it says marginal, we get sleet. That's determined by the strength and position of both air masses. And that's what the models are still working out. The ECMWF model has been slightly colder than the GFS. That would favor more snow farther south. But the ECMWF has also been trending warmer in recent runs. The Canadian model sits between them. Typical Canadian behavior. Not too cold, not too warm. We'll see which model handles this correctly over the next few days. For the coastal development potential, that depends on whether this system can tap into ocean moisture as it moves east. If a strong low develops off the Carolina coast, the Northeast gets significant snow. If the system stays suppressed or moves offshore quickly, the Northeast sees less impact. Historical analogs are limited because this particular setup is unusual. The strong blocking high is atypical. Most winter storms involve progressive systems moving through established patterns. This is more of an air mass collision than a traditional storm. The closest comparison might be January 1994 for the ice component, or the superstorm of '93 for the overall scope, but neither is a perfect match. What I can say definitively is this. Multiple states will see significant winter weather impacts beginning Friday and extending through the weekend. Snow totals will be measured in feet in some locations. Ice accumulation could cause widespread power outages in others, and the cold air following this system is historic for the affected regions. That's not speculation. That's current forecast data from the National Weather Service, the Weather Prediction Center, and multiple numerical models. The specifics will become clearer with each new model run. I'll be monitoring this closely. Updates tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening. potentially going live Friday through Sunday as the system moves through. Make your preparations now while you have time. Don't assume this will miss you or weaken significantly. The pattern supports a major winter weather event. For those in the potential ice zone, this is especially important. You may not see winter weather like this often. When ice storms do hit your region, they memorable for all the wrong reasons. Take this seriously without panicking. Check on elderly neighbors and family members. Make sure they have what they need. If they don't have backup heat, make arrangements now. If you rely on electric heat and lose power in -10-degree temperatures, that's life-threatening within hours. Community matters during events like this. Look out for each other. For those farther north accustomed to heavy snow, this is still a significant system. A foot or more of snow in a short period challenges any municipality as snow removal capacity. Stay off roads unless absolutely necessary. Let the crews do their work. For everyone in the impact zone, secure loose items outside before the snow or ice arrives. Bring in patio furniture. Secure trash cans. Anything that could become a projectile in wind or get buried in snow. Trim any dead branches near power lines or structures if possible. Ice loading could bring them down. Park vehicles in garages if you have them. If not, avoid parking under trees. Fill prescriptions now if you're running low. You don't want to run out during a multi-day event. Have a plan for medical emergencies. Know the route to the nearest hospital. Know if that route will be impassable in heavy snow or ice. These aren't dramatic preparations. They prudent steps based on current forecast data. The bottom line is this. A significant winter weather event begins Friday and impacts multiple states through the weekend. Snow, ice, and dangerous cold are all part of this system. Exact details on who gets what will become clearer over the next 2 days. Prepare now. Monitor forecasts. Take this seriously. I'll have more detailed information tomorrow once we see how the overnight model runs trend. Stay safe. Be smart. Help your neighbors.